Hi, my name is Marco. I'm a former pro opera singer turned voice actor. Today I'm going to be listening to our Tonelico Exec Phantasmagoria, the last hymnus. I don't know anything about this piece, so I'm really curious to hear a hymn in relation to, outside of the context of the game, which I have no context for. And I'm really curious to hear what this sounds like. I've sung quite a few hymns in my life, so I'm very interested. Here we go. It's so interesting because I wasn't sure what to expect, and there's a lot of voice trading here where I assume there's multiple voices. And so it's like one sings, the other sings, and the third sings, and it's sort of this trio, but it's not. There's a lot of movement here and a lot of ebb and flow between the voices. And then when the orchestra comes in, they're doing the exact same thing as well. The violins and the cellos, they're trading off. And I think it's very pleasing to the ear to hear this sort of trading off of melody. It's essentially melody borrowing. And this piece is also going in like 8 different directions, which is really cool. And there's a lot of rhythm shifts and a lot of changes. And the vocal melody is it's pleasant. It sounds almost childlike. Da dee da dee da dee da dee da. Like not only is the melody is very gentle, but then you also have this childlike singing, which is no vibrato, very clean. It's all there to be pleasant. But I don't know the circumstances of the game, of course, when I'm listening to it outside of the context of the game. But there's a gentleness that's occurring in this. I was expecting something a bit different, and I'm getting something that's very nice. Let's keep going. just want to talk a little bit about a trio when it comes to my experience in the operatic world. When we have a trio, usually what's happening is that we have three voices. A trio's three. I assume you know that. And the lead trades off. And so sometimes it's the soprano, sometimes it's a mezzo, tenor, baritone, bass, whatever. Melodies are borrowed. And then even though it sounds like singers are in the background, they're also singing their own phrases. And usually the quartet, I know it's a quartet, but the quartet that comes to mind is actually from Don Giovanni, where there are two characters, Donna Anna and Don Ottavio. They are having a side discussion talking about Donna Elvira and Don Giovanni. And so everyone is having their own little moment where sometimes a voice will come forward and that will be the leading melody, and other times it's in the background acting as commentary to what's happening in front of them. So for instance, if Don Giovanni's saying, La povera ragazza è pazza amici miei, è pazza amici miei, he's saying, the poor woman is crazy, she's crazy, my friends. And then Don Ottavio and Don Anna are saying, ma che si crederà, ma chi si crederà, ma chi si crederà, who do we believe? And then Don Elvira's saying whatever she's saying. And so there's this sort of push and pull between all characters that they're saying different things. And musically, they may be within sync of each other tonally, but they're actually kind of coexisting in this strange symbiotic way where someone is saying something and the others are commenting. So in this case, in this trio, I feel like one voice is saying one thing, two voices behind are commenting in their own ranges, and then maybe they're alternating and taking turns and sort of ebbing and flowing. It's so interesting. This piece is just, it's meandering through all sorts of different things. It's really interesting to listen to. This process of basically the whole structure of this piece from the very get-go is having three soloists singing their own individual lines. We see this a lot in, for instance, in Candide by Leonard Bernstein. We see this in Make Our Garden Grow. It's the final song of the piece. I believe this is the final song of Exec Phantasmagoria, or Our Tonelico. It starts off with Candide and Cunegonde singing solo, and then there are other voices that come in from other characters. And then we shift into an instrumental section, and then in comes the chorus, a cappella in this case, sort of reinforcing and emphasizing what they were talking about in their solo singing. And then everything joins together, and then it strongly cuts off, and the orchestra takes us off, and it ends with the orchestra. Now, obviously, this was a little bit more complex because it weaved in the orchestra, but this is like very standard for conclusion pieces I've found, at least in this Candide is a prime example of it. And it's cool because it tells a story, and perhaps this has a cautionary tale in there. Perhaps this is a reflection on what happened in the game. Often this music is a reflection of what happened during the story or the opera. And so there is this sort of coming together and then concluding and fading away, which is exactly what happened in this piece. I think it was really quite an interesting array of different sort of rhythms and melodies all mixing together, and the music sort of coalescing into one and then fading away. And then, we have that one section towards the end where the cello and the bass and the violin and the viola are taking turns singing that melody. And it's exactly like I was mentioning about Don Giovanni, where it felt like each voice was commenting on the other. This surprised me. I didn't expect this at all. It's quite nice. I don't know anything about this game series, and frankly, I don't know what this song is about whatsoever. But I think it's cool that musically, there is still some way to connect this to what I know in my classical training and in my experience with classical music. Now, granted, Candide is Leonard Bernstein. He wrote West Side Story, so he's not that old in terms of musical history. This is very interesting, and I'm glad I got to hear it. So thank you for the Patreon request. This was really cool. If you'd like to check out the Patreon or support the channel, feel free to check out the About section, but there's never any pressure to do any of that. And if you want to join the Discord, feel free to check it out. As always, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.